Welcome to the Conspiracy Theories Project. I'm your host, Adam Stone. In the shadows of our everyday lives, an unseen war rages. A war not fought on the battlefield with guns and tanks, but in the minds of the unsuspecting masses. A war of perceptions, of beliefs, and ultimately, of control. This is the world of directed psychological operations, or PSYOPs, and their insidious infiltration into something as seemingly innocuous as pop culture. Over the years, we've been conditioned to view pop culture as a harmless source of entertainment. From blockbuster movies to chart-topping songs, from best-selling novels to viral memes, these forms of media are seen as mere distractions from the mundanity of life. But what if there's more to it than what meets the eye? What if these vehicles of entertainment are being used as tools of manipulation, subtly shaping our thoughts, our behaviors, and our very reality? Consider the concept of predictive programming, a theory that suggests that the media preconditions us to accept certain outcomes or realities before they happen. This is not a new idea. The term was coined by researcher Alan Watt, who posited that through the use of predictive programming, the public is subtly guided to accept ideas and scenarios that they would otherwise find unacceptable. But how can something as innocuous as a Hollywood blockbuster harbor such a sinister secret? It all lies in the art of storytelling. Stories have been used since time immemorial to teach, to inspire, and yes, to manipulate. By embedding certain themes or ideas within a narrative, it's possible to shape the audience's perception of these ideas, making them more palatable, more acceptable. Take, for instance, the proliferation of dystopian fiction in recent years. These stories often depict societies where freedoms are curtailed, surveillance is rampant, and individuality is suppressed. Yet they are presented in such a way that we are often rooting for these oppressive regimes to succeed, or at least accept their presence as a necessary evil. Could this be a subtle attempt to condition us to accept such realities in our own world? Or consider the rise of superhero movies, where a select few individuals are endowed with extraordinary powers and take it upon themselves to protect humanity. On the surface, these stories are about the triumph of good over evil. But dig deeper, and one might question whether they are subtly promoting the idea of a superior class of beings, desensitizing us to the idea of a power imbalance. The evidence is there, hidden in plain sight. All it takes is a careful observer to connect the dots. But the true question isn't whether these psychological operations exist. It's why they are happening, who is behind them, and what their ultimate goal is. As we delve deeper into this unseen world, we'll attempt to unravel these mysteries, offering a glimpse into the hidden forces shaping our reality. As we trace the origins of these psychological operations, we're transported back to the tumultuous era of the Cold War. During this time, governments around the world grappled with a new form of warfare, one of information and influence. PSYOPs, short for psychological operations, were born out of this paranoia-infused atmosphere, as nations sought to manipulate the thoughts and behaviors of their adversaries through misinformation and propaganda. In the United States, this gave rise to covert programs like MK-Ultra, launched by the CIA in the 1950s. The goal of this notorious operation was to develop mind control techniques that could be used against enemy combatants or even the American public. While the full extent of the project remains shrouded in secrecy, it's known that it involved a range of experiments, from hypnosis and sensory deprivation to the administration of hallucinogenic drugs. Across the globe in the Soviet Union, similar operations were underway. The Soviets were particularly interested in psychic capabilities and parapsychology, with the hope of creating telepathic soldiers or inducing adverse physical effects in their enemies through remote means. Yet, our focus today isn't on the clandestine operations of intelligence agencies, but on the more subtle and pervasive psychological operations that permeate our everyday lives. In the midst of the Cold War, a shift occurred. Governments realized that the most effective way to control a population wasn't through coercion or force, but through the manipulation of culture and ideology. And thus, the stage was set for PSYOPs to infiltrate popular culture, from Hollywood films to best-selling novels. This was not a sudden, overt takeover. Rather, it was a slow, insidious process that crept into the fabric of society, often unnoticed. The media, with its immense power to shape public opinion, became a prime target. Stories began to be laced with subtle messages, themes, and symbols designed to influence the viewer's perception of reality. These psyops are not the result of an overactive imagination or the product of conspiracy theories. They are based on well-documented strategies utilized by governments and influential groups, honed over decades of research into human behavior and psychology. They represent a silent, invisible war, a war for our minds, a war that is waged not through bullets or bombs, but through images, words, and ideas. The more we understand about this invisible war, the better equipped we are to recognize its influence and question the narratives presented to us. From the dystopian fiction of the 21st century to the superhero blockbusters dominating the box office, the traces of psychological operations are there, should we choose to see them. Key figures and organizations have played vital roles in shaping the landscape of this invisible war. One of the most influential is the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, with its Operation Mockingbird. Initiated in the early 1950s, this covert program aimed to influence the media and public opinion both domestically and internationally. The CIA reportedly recruited leading American journalists and established a network of around 25 news organizations to spread propaganda. Another major player is the Department of Defense, DoD, which has often collaborated with Hollywood on numerous films and TV series, providing military equipment, personnel, and expertise in exchange for script approval. The Pentagon's influence is pervasive, shaping narratives to promote a positive image of the military and American foreign policy. Within the corridors of academia, the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, a British organization, has been significant. Established in 1947, it has studied psyops and their potential applications. Known for its research in social psychology and behavior, the Institute has been linked to theories of mass brainwashing and societal control, with critics asserting it has played a key role in directing cultural trends. On the corporate front, the Walt Disney Corporation, with its vast media and entertainment empire, has been a powerful tool in shaping global culture. Disney's reach, extending from films and TV shows to theme parks and merchandise, has been a potent vehicle for disseminating narratives and ideologies. Simultaneously, seemingly independent entities like the Bilderberg Group, an annual private conference of influential figures from politics, finance, and the media, have allegedly played a role in shaping global policy and opinion. Critics suggest this group is part of a shadowy network of elites manipulating world events. Lastly, the role of influential individuals cannot be overlooked. Edward Bernays, known as the father of public relations, utilized psychoanalytic theories to manipulate public perception commercially and politically, laying groundwork for many modern psyops tactics. Each of these entities and individuals has played a role in the shaping of popular culture, using their influence to subtly weave narratives and ideologies into the fabric of our daily lives. Their motives may vary, but their common thread is the manipulation of perception, shaping reality to serve their interests. The invisible war is not only fought in the shadows, it is woven into the very stories we consume, the music we listen to, and the images we see. In the late 20th century, pivotal events began to bring the scope of this invisible war to public attention. Perhaps most significantly, the Church Committee's investigations in the mid-1970s exposed the extent to which government agencies, particularly the CIA, had been involved in manipulating media and culture. The CIA's Operation Mockingbird, for instance, was a clandestine campaign to influence media and public opinion during the Cold War, employing journalists from major media outlets as assets. Around the same time, documents leaked by a former employee revealed the extent of the Tavistock Institute's influence. The papers suggested the institute had been involved in large-scale psychological operations, with objectives ranging from shaping public opinion on political issues to influencing consumer behavior. Meanwhile, investigative journalists and whistleblowers began to reveal connections between major corporations, influential individuals, and psychological manipulation. Disney, for example, faced scrutiny for its alleged use of subliminal messaging in films and TV shows. Critics pointed to instances of hidden symbols and messages seemingly designed to influence viewers' attitudes and behaviors. Further evidence of psyops in pop culture surfaced in the last decade of the 20th century, when declassified documents revealed Project MK Ultra. This CIA program, which ran from the 1950s to the 1970s, involved illicit experiments on humans to develop techniques for mind control and chemical interrogation. Though the project was officially decommissioned, some believe its strategies continued to be applied in more covert ways within the realm of popular culture. In the 21st century, the digital revolution and the rise of social media platforms have provided new channels for these operations. Allegations of data mining, algorithm manipulation, and the spread of disinformation have become commonplace, suggesting that the invisible war has moved into the realm of the virtual. These revelations have provoked a mix of reactions, ranging from disbelief and denial to outrage and calls for reform. Yet, despite the growing body of evidence, the full extent and impact of PSYOPs in popular culture remain largely obscured. The invisible war continues, its battles fought not on traditional battlegrounds, but in the minds of the global populace, shaping perceptions, beliefs, and behaviors in ways we are only beginning to understand. As the evidence of psychological operations within pop culture surfaced, so too did the alleged attempts to suppress and control this information. These efforts spanned governments, corporations, and institutions, each with their own vested interests in maintaining the status quo, and often used methods such as cover-ups, silencing of whistleblowers, and narrative manipulation. The CIA's Project MKUltra provides a stark example of this. When the program's existence was revealed to the public, the agency embarked on an extensive effort to destroy most of the project's records, effectively concealing the full extent of its activities. Yet despite this, some documents escaped destruction, shedding light on a selection of disturbing experiments. The true scale and implications of the project, however, remain largely unknown, a testament to the effectiveness of the agency's information suppression efforts. Similarly, corporations accused of engaging in psychological manipulation have been known to use intricate legal strategies and public relations campaigns to discredit whistleblowers and critics. In the case of Disney, the company categorically denied the allegations of subliminal messaging, framing them as conspiracy theories. They employed a combination of legal threats and media influence to challenge the credibility of the claims, effectively quelling the controversy before it could gain substantial traction. Major media outlets, too, have been implicated in the manipulation of narratives. The leaked documents revealing their involvement with intelligence agencies suggested that these outlets had an instrumental role in molding public perceptions to align with certain agendas. For instance, during the Vietnam War, the media was accused of propagating a narrative that supported U.S. involvement, despite growing public opposition. In recent years, tech giants have come under scrutiny for their alleged role in data mining and algorithm manipulation. These companies have consistently denied these allegations, despite mounting evidence in high-profile whistleblowers. The narrative has been expertly controlled, with these corporations framing their activities as necessary for improving user experience or targeting advertisements, rather than for influencing public opinion. The suppression and control of information about directed PSYOPs in pop culture create a complex landscape of secrecy and misinformation. This manipulation not only obscures the truth, but also sows doubt and confusion, further entrenching the power of those who wield influence behind the scenes. One thing is clear: in the invisible war for the minds of the populace, information is both a weapon and a battleground. The fight for transparency and truth continues, even as the forces of suppression endeavor to keep the extent of their operations hidden. In the shadowy world of psychological operations, there have been courageous individuals who dared to challenge the prevailing narratives and expose the truth. Some of these whistleblowers have been journalists, others have been insiders within the organizations perpetrating these manipulations. Their stories are often harrowing, marked by hostility, threats, and career-ending repercussions. Edward Snowden is arguably the most famous whistleblower of our time. A former contractor for the CIA and NSA, Snowden shocked the world in 2013 when he leaked classified information revealing mass surveillance programs. His revelations exposed how government agencies and tech giants were violating privacy rights on a global scale, purportedly for national security. Snowden was subsequently charged with espionage and theft of government property, forcing him to seek asylum in Russia. His actions sparked an international debate about privacy, surveillance, and the reach of state power in the digital age. Chelsea Manning, a former Army intelligence analyst, also faced severe consequences for her actions. In 2010, she provided WikiLeaks with hundreds of thousands of classified military documents and diplomatic cables. These files highlighted controversial aspects of the U.S. wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, including the infamous collateral murder video, which showed a U.S. helicopter crew gunning down unarmed civilians. Manning was arrested, court-martialed, and sentenced to 35 years in prison, a sentence commuted by President Obama in 2017 after 7 years of incarceration. In the realm of pop culture, insiders have also come forward to expose manipulation. In 2017, former Facebook executive Chamath Palihapitiya admitted that the social media giant was designed to exploit human vulnerability and manipulate users' behavior. His revelations triggered a wave of public backlash against Facebook, leading to calls for greater transparency and regulation. Despite these and many other brave revelations, the battle for transparency is far from over. Whistleblowers often face retaliation, isolation, and legal repercussions that can make their lives extraordinarily difficult. They risk their careers, their reputations, and even their freedom to bring the truth to light. Yet despite these risks, they continue to fight, reminding us that in the invisible war for our minds, resistance is not only possible, but also essential. Their work is crucial in exposing the extent and impact of directed psyops within our society, and it is a testament to the power of the human spirit to challenge the imbalances of power and strive for truth in the face of adversity. The concrete evidence that supports these assertions of directed psyops in pop culture emerges from various corners, including declassified government files, whistleblower testimonies, and data analytics. Let's consider some of these. A prime example is Operation Mockingbird, a covert CIA operation exposed in the 1970s. Declassified documents revealed that the CIA had been secretly influencing news media for propaganda purposes, including the recruitment of journalists from prominent media outlets. This revelation shook the public's trust in the media, fueling ongoing debates about media integrity and independence. Then we have the Cambridge Analytica scandal, where data-driven psychological profiling was used to influence voter behavior during the 2016 U.S. presidential election. This British political consulting firm acquired the personal data of millions of Facebook users without their consent, using it to craft targeted advertising aimed at manipulating public opinion. This scandal further underscored the extent to which our data could be used as a tool of psyops in the digital age. Moreover, the Church Committee's investigations in the mid-1970s unearthed numerous covert CIA operations. Among them was Project MKUltra, a program aimed at developing mind control techniques, including the use of drugs, hypnosis, and isolation. The existence of such a program highlighted the lengths to which governments could go in their quest to control and manipulate the human mind. Testimonies from industry insiders also provide valuable insights. Tristan Harris, a former design ethicist at Google, has spoken out about how tech companies deliberately engineer their products to be addictive, exploiting psychological vulnerabilities to keep users hooked. His revelations have fueled a broader discussion about tech addiction and the ethical responsibilities of these companies. Finally, the sheer volume of data available today facilitates unprecedented levels of manipulation. As we've seen with the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal, personal data can be used to create highly targeted ads that can subtly shape our perceptions and behaviors. These data-driven tactics are now a standard part of the advertising industry, raising serious questions about privacy and consent in the digital age. While compelling, these pieces of evidence are merely the tip of the iceberg. They hint at a broader, more pervasive phenomenon: the invisible war for our minds. The struggle for truth and transparency in this shadowy arena is a daunting challenge, but one that is vital if we are to safeguard our autonomy and freedom in the face of these sophisticated psyops. In the aftermath of these revelations, public trust in technology, government institutions, and media has been significantly eroded. The fallout can be discerned in the increased skepticism and cynicism towards mainstream narratives and the growing prevalence of conspiracy theories. While some argue that this skepticism is a healthy response to a world rife with manipulation, others worry that it fosters a climate of paranoia and mistrust. The media landscape, too, has been significantly altered. From being the trusted guardians of truth, media outlets have become the battlegrounds for information warfare, with each side accusing the other of spreading misinformation or propaganda. The lines between fact, opinion, and manipulation have blurred, leading to an era of post-truth, where objective facts are less influential in shaping public opinion than appeals to emotion and personal beliefs. Social media platforms have come under intense scrutiny, with many blaming them for the rise of fake news and the erosion of public trust. Facebook's Cambridge Analytica scandal was a wake-up call, forcing people to confront uncomfortable truths about their privacy and how their data could be used against them. The scandal sparked a global debate on data privacy and led to calls for stricter regulations on tech companies. Yet amidst the fallout, there were also denials and controversies. Some dismissed the idea of psyops in pop culture as conspiracy theory, arguing that it overstates the power of media and technology to shape public opinion. They contend that people are not passive consumers of media, but active interpreters who can resist manipulation. The Cambridge Analytica scandal, too, was not without controversy. While it was widely reported that the firm's data-driven psyops had a significant impact on the 2016 U.S. presidential election, some experts have questioned the effectiveness of their methods. They argue that the influence of targeted advertising is often overstated, and that other factors, such as the political climate and the candidates themselves, played a larger role. In spite of these controversies, the revelations have undeniably changed the way we interact with media and technology. They have exposed the hidden mechanisms of influence that operate beneath the surface of our digital lives and reminded us of the importance of critical thinking in a world where truth is increasingly elusive. The invisible war for our minds continues, but now we are more aware of its existence and perhaps better equipped to resist its effects. The legacy of these directed psychological operations in pop culture is all around us, subtly shaping our modern culture, politics, and technology. The insidious power of psyops has not diminished over time, but rather evolved in sophistication, becoming an integral part of our increasingly interconnected world. This can be seen in the current political landscape, where politicians and governments are more aware than ever of the power of narratives and symbols in shaping public opinion. Campaign strategies are designed not just to communicate policy positions, but to trigger emotional responses and cultivate identities. The rise of populist movements around the world is a testament to this, with leaders using emotive language and divisive rhetoric to rally their base and marginalize their opponents. In the world of technology, the revelations about the misuse of personal data and the manipulation of public sentiment have led to a paradigm shift. Tech giants are now more accountable for their actions, with governments around the world imposing stringent regulations to protect user privacy and curb the spread of misinformation. Yet, the arms race continues, with new tools and techniques being developed to manipulate public opinion under the guise of personalized advertising and content recommendation. In pop culture, the influence of psyops is perhaps most visible in the rise of conspiracy theories. Once dismissed as fringe beliefs, they have now entered mainstream discourse, fueled by the power of social media and the erosion of public trust in traditional institutions. The proliferation of these theories, whether it's about the moon landing, 9/11, or the COVID-19 pandemic, is a stark reminder of the power of narratives to shape our understanding of the world. The lessons from this invisible war are more relevant today than ever before. In a world where truth is increasingly elusive, critical thinking and media literacy are essential tools for navigating the barrage of information we encounter daily. We must be vigilant, questioning the sources of our information and the motivations behind the narratives we consume. Moreover, we must recognize the power of emotions in shaping our beliefs and actions. Fear, anger, hope, and love can be manipulated to serve hidden agendas, and we must learn to separate our emotional responses from our rational judgment. Finally, we must understand that we are not just passive consumers of media, but active participants in the creation and dissemination of narratives. Each tweet, share, or like can contribute to the spread of misinformation or propaganda. We have a responsibility to critically evaluate the information we consume and share, and to promote truth and transparency in our digital lives. As we navigate this complex and ever-evolving landscape, these lessons serve as a beacon, guiding us towards a more informed, critical, and responsible engagement with the media and technology that shape our lives. The invisible war is not just a battle for our minds, but a battle for our values, our beliefs, and ultimately, our future. And so, we find ourselves at the end of this intricate labyrinth of thought and theory, the concluding refrains of a symphony that has sought to unravel the enigmatic world of psyops in pop culture. The chessboard is laid bare, the players and their strategies revealed in all their intricacy. Yet, for all our explorations, we are left with an unsettling sense of incompleteness. The specter of unanswered questions looms large, a haunting reminder of the unending complexity of this invisible war. How much of our realities are engineered by unseen forces? How much of our beliefs are shaped, not by conscious choice, but by the labyrinthine machinations of sophisticated psychological operations? The answers to these questions remain elusive, hidden beneath layers of secrecy and subterfuge. But perhaps it is in the asking of these questions, in the relentless quest for truth, that we find our greatest defense against the insidious power of manipulation. What remains clear, however, is the imperative to remain vigilant. The invisible war is not a static battlefield, but a dynamic, ever-evolving theater of operations. The strategies and tools of manipulation are continually changing, adapting to exploit our vulnerabilities, preying on our fears, hopes, and desires. The battle lines are blurred, the enemy indistinct, the stakes higher than ever. Yet, amidst the shadows and the uncertainty, there is also a glimmer of hope. The same media and technology that can be wielded as weapons of manipulation can also be powerful tools for enlightenment and empowerment. In the age of information, knowledge is power, and it is this power that we must harness to navigate the treacherous terrain of psyops in pop culture. As we draw this journey to an end, there is a sense of a curtain falling, but the stage remains. The actors may retreat into the shadows, but the play continues. The invisible war is far from over. It's a story that evolves with each passing moment, with every tweet, every headline, every song on the radio. The narrative is always changing, and we, the audience, are left with the echoes of what has been and the anticipation of what is to come. In the silence that follows, the world waits, and the invisible war rages on. Thanks for listening. This has been the Conspiracy Theories Project. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to support the show, subscribe to the Forbidden Knowledge Network on Patreon. Subscribe now.